So before I get into how to write your newsletter, I just wanted to touch briefly on why to even have one, because I know a lot of people are probably thinking, oh my gosh, I already have YouTube and or Facebook and or Instagram and or Twitter or DeviantArt or whatever, and it's like, oh my gosh, how many different platforms do I need? Well, if you watch my other videos, you'll see that I say about 2 or 3, but your newsletter list is the most important aspect. And the reason being is because it's the part of your social output that you are the most in control of. I mean, think about it. Every time Instagram or Facebook comes up with some new algorithm, then all of a sudden, boom, you're not even being shown to half your people, or maybe they've decided that your photos can only be in this format, or you can't have any links in certain things, or I don't know if you realize this, but Facebook downgrades posts that have links in them. So if you're trying to link to a blog post or something like that, Facebook is going to automatically downgrade your post because they don't want you leaving Facebook. And same with Instagram, not giving you links in the description. They don't want you leaving Instagram. So those, when you are contacting your audience, your followers, whatever, through those platforms, you are very limited by what is in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's, DeviantArts, whatever, in their best interest. Whereas if you're doing an email list, you're doing it in your best interest. You can include links, you can include videos, you can include as many photos as you want, you know what I mean? You have your own layout and heading, so I have my heading uploaded so that every time it has my logo and everything on it. There's no way that somebody's gonna go to my email and then get sidetracked onto some other artist's page, and then my email is just mine. So you want to be collecting your email list whenever you can. If you would like to get on my email list, which you totally should, definitely dump down below, because I write my letter about every 4 to 6 weeks, and they are so fun. So make sure you jump on my list, but make sure you start a list of your own at any point. If you make a sale, just like this, telling people, hey, I have a little something special for you, drop your email and you'll get in on this special thing that only people who are on my list get in on. We'll get into that in a few. Making sure that you have a good email list and have a steady newsletter that comes out is one of the most valuable things you can do for your business. It's that consistency. I know every time you watch my videos you hear that word, but it's that consistency. Have your emails looking nice and uniform, have a header that goes onto each one with your branding and logo. If you don't know much about that, look at the video I just posted last week, because that's all about how to look professional, and that will go for your newsletters as well too. First things first, we need to choose our topics. So choosing your 2 to 3 topics will probably be the most difficult part, because once you know what you want to write, then it's easy just to kind of find the flow and write about it. So when you're picking your 2 to 3 topics, I suggest sharing something like, if you have a new piece of art or some kind of new product launch or something within your business, that can be very interesting. Giving your newsletter people a sneak peek is very exciting for them. Maybe if you have a new venture in your art business, I just started teaching a workshop, I'm going to be sharing that. Maybe if you are on a new social media platform, you just started a YouTube channel, or maybe if you just started offering a service. When I started offering mentoring, art mentoring for businesses and stuff, that was the first place I told people was on my newsletter. Of course, if you have any upcoming exhibitions or anything. And side note, it's really great if you can keep your subscribers organized as far as location. That way, when you do have something that is local, you can blast to those people. Or maybe if you have certain things that go on in certain cities, you can blast to those certain people. And that way people are not getting extraneous emails of things that they're not going to be able to attend. Also, you should write about recent achievements. If you got anything like an award or got featured somewhere, or maybe you are interviewed, tell people that. That's really interesting. People like to hear that you're getting built up and getting popular, because people like to like what other people like, if that makes sense. Conversely, it's not a bad idea to write about difficulties. Now, this is something that I kind of tend to feature in my newsletters, because I'm a very upbeat, positive person. I try to make my social media, as good and bright and crisp and happy as I possibly can. But, we all have struggles. We all have you know, minor setbacks or failures or difficulties or challenges or whatever. And so that's one place that I like to share that personal part of my art business is within my newsletter. And that way it's sort of like a little bit of exclusive content that gives somebody like a real behind the scenes peek at what it's really like. And I'm not saying that what I put on social media and what I put on YouTube and stuff isn't real, but I'm not gonna sit there and be like, darn, I tried to do this thing and it didn't work out. But in my newsletter, I might be like, hey, it didn't work out. But, and here's another little tip for you. If you have a trial or tribulation, try to turn it into a positive, like, oh, I tried to do this thing with my art venture and it didn't work out. However, I learned this thing and now I'm gonna apply those things to this other aspect of my business. So it's really nice because, I mean, honestly, everybody loves a little bit of gossip. Everybody loves a little bit of dirt. So if you can be like, here's my little bit of gossip, here's where I kind of had a hard time. It's also inspiring because I know when I see someone succeed and I also hear that they've had a hard time with something, I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one. So writing down some difficulties, but putting like a positive twist on them so that by the end, it's still a positive email. The last thing you want to do, trust me, is use this as some like negative dumping ground at all. But you know, giving people some real insight can be very exciting. And then, and last but not least, if you had any recent travels or adventures, or maybe you went to some incredible art exhibit or a museum, or you know, traveled to whatever, Dublin or, you know, Berlin or something like that, like that's exciting. You know, your followers, your subscribers will be interested to hear about any kind of adventures that sort of pertain or would be interested to that audience. Now that you have chosen your topics, take your time writing. There is no reason to rush this. I often spread my newsletter writing out over a few days. That way I can go back and refresh on what I've read. I can make sure I have really nice, clear images to add. I can make sure all of my links are good. Take your time. It's not a race. I often find that I write better as well if I split up my time in different places. So I might write a few paragraphs here one day, a few another day, maybe some at home. Just make sure that you do whatever you need to do to comfortably write and enjoy this. You are sharing something special with people who genuinely care. Don't turn this into a chore. And now just a few tips you've probably heard me touch on throughout the video, but just think about this. Number one, first and foremost, and this is true across the board with anything you put out, be real, be yourself. Don't try to act like you're perfect and, you know, nothing ever goes wrong or whatever. Just be yourself. You want to be upbeat, you want to be positive, you want to be a fun place for people to visit, but just be yourself, relax. I mean, you see my videos, you see what minimal editing I do, and people seem to like that I'm just some goofy goober up here on the screen, so just don't worry about it, be yourself. When you're writing your newsletter, make sure you put it in like a friendly conversational tone. You want it to be in first person. You want it to literally sound like it's me, the artist, having a conversation with you, the viewer, and we're just chatting and it's totally casual because this is a very personal place. Your newsletter is personal. You don't want it to be stodgy. You want it to be very conversational. Now that being said, of course, you still want to make sure that your grammar and spelling and all that punctuation, everything is good. If you need to have a little grammar buddy, have a check, then do that. I know I make sure I read my newsletter probably like 8 times before it gets sent out, and I'll still wind up having mistakes sometimes. So do your double and triple check on that. Offer exclusive content. Now, you probably heard me say this a few times, but this is really exciting because give people a reason to want to give you their emails. I mean, people don't just want to give out their emails, as much junk as we get in our folder and as much stuff as we have to wade through. So you want to make it something valuable. So offer some kind of exclusive content, and not only content, but occasionally if you offer an exclusive deal or sale. I'll do that every once in a while. You don't want to do it every time because honestly, you don't want your newsletter to be like a super selly place. You really want your newsletter to be more of like an insightful place where occasionally, you know, people know that you have something for sale, or if you're offering some kind of special or something, or when I do my sketchbook releases, like once or twice a year, I make sketchbooks and people can buy them, but it's only once or twice a year because I just don't make them all the time. That's the type of thing that I'll put in my newsletter. Like, hey, just so you guys know, this exclusive thing that only happens every once in a while is coming out, but it's not going to be like every time. Like, buy a print, buy a thing, buy a blog, because people, they're not going to keep reading if they just feel like they're getting sold to every time. But they do like knowing that they get in on something. So if you say, hey, I've got this new painting and I'm gonna have prints, and for only my newsletter subscribers, you guys are gonna get 25% off for this week using this code or something like that. Gives people a reason to sign up as well as to keep coming back and opening those emails because they never know when they're gonna get another little bonus. Oh, another thing is people are here because they care about you. They want to see what you're doing, so they want to see you. So I try to include at least one photo of myself in action on every single one. I mean, occasionally it might just be like me sitting there by a painting, but for the most part, I try to do it like me making a painting or me working or maybe me like on a hike having an adventure or something. But you know, kind of like it makes it more personal when people can see your face and people see you doing the things that you're writing about doing. So include like one, maybe two photos, depending on how many you have, of like you in action and you doing all the exciting things. And then last but not least, just as far as in general, you want your email to be broken up in nice little bite-sized chunks. You want it to have easily like little digestible paragraphs. You don't want long-winded. If somebody opens their email and sees a paragraph that looks like this, yikes, skip. But if they see, you know, 2 sentences, 1 sentence, and then there's like little pockets of info and a picture of you and then a picture of your art and it's like some little fun thing, then they're gonna keep coming back and they're gonna know every time they get an email, ooh, this is some fun little thing. It's not some chore, it's not some like unpublished novel that this artist is trying to send me and make me read. No. So you wanna make sure that things are visually as well as like internally, like bite-sized, fun, easy chunks, concise, no extraneous information. Make your sentences and your paragraphs as short as possible while still being fun. So just to reiterate, using my own email that will be going out this month, which you can sign up for as well as read in full detail down below, go ahead and make sure that you are using consistent branding throughout to make sure that you look very professional. And once you have chosen your topics, you're going to expand each one into 2 to 3 paragraphs, making sure to include pertinent links and photos to make it interesting. Also, this helps visually break it up into those bite-sized chunks I was talking about. Make sure you don't make anything too long or detailed, or else folks will not come back if they feel like it is a long, arduous process to get through your whole newsletter. Make sure you include a CTA, that's a call to action as well, because with this, you want them to check out or go to or possibly purchase something. And then I always like to include a PS at the end as well, because with this, you can add in one more little bonus snippet or sometimes even an extra little call to action that will help steer folks exactly where you want them to go upon the completion of reading your fun and exciting newsletter. If you would ever like help with your own art biz, remember I am available for art mentoring. Check down below for links. Make sure you pop that subscribe button and I'll see you next time.